Warning. The opinions, ideas, views, emotions, and temper tantrums expressed or otherwise conveyed on the Tony and Josh show may not, and most likely is not, suitable for all audiences, and therefore should not be heard by anyone unless supervised by an appropriate nanny state. Enjoy!
Welcome to the Tony and Josh Show. Tony and Josh are the functionally illiterates of the podcasting world. Now, here they are, Tony and Josh.
Well, here I am. I'm Tony from the Tony and Josh Show.
And I'm Josh from the Tony and Josh Show.
So if you guys aren't aware, and if you're just a podcast listener, you probably wouldn't be aware, probably don't care either. We're doing a YouTube live event, which is basically, well, I guess it's something to compete with Ustream and some of the other video streaming services that are out there. I don't know about Google taking over the world if I like that so much, but it's nice to have an option where we don't have the thing that so many of our live viewers complain about, which is the interruptions with the commercials. Now, I think we could have always spent money on Ustream and done away with that, Josh, but I don't know about you, but I'm not that crazy.
No, I'll be the first to admit it. I'm a miser. I'm a cheap bastard, that's for sure. So, hey, if it saves us a buck and we can still broadcast the show live to all of our fans, well, hey, that's just Jim Dandy in my book. I'm all about free market competition, and we know what they say, Tony. Diversity is the spice of life. So if we've got some options at our disposal, I know that you're a lot like me and like to test new things. Then I'd say let's go for it. Let's try this out and see how it goes.
Yeah, I used to get in trouble at work all the time when I was in my IT career many years ago now, where I would see something and go, wow, let's give that a try. And unfortunately, it was usually during business hours.
Whoops.
And, more often than not, it did work. I was there at that job for 16 years, and believe it or not, I wasn't run out of that place because of my adventures. So in that same spirit, I don't really do that anymore. I've kind of learned my lesson. I was a lot younger when I started that job. But anyway, in the same spirit of adventure, that's what we did tonight. About 40 minutes before showtime, I went, oh yeah, that live event thing. How does that work? So if you normally watch on Ustream, it's a YouTube live event. And I think we told the two people that normally watch on Ustream where they could watch on YouTube. So I think they're both watching tonight, and it's a learning curve. Anyway, what we do here, in case you're watching this on the video on YouTube, what we normally do here is we have this opinion show. Josh and I do another show which is about Jeeps, and well, you're actually seeing this on the XJ Talk channel, and xjtalk.com is a Jeep Cherokee website. So you may see these little opinion shows show up on what you would say is, well, what does this have to do about Jeeps? Well, nothing really. It's just an opinion show that Josh and I started doing because, I know this is blasphemous, but man does live by more than just Jeep.
How dare you?
Exactly. And, I'll just go ahead and mention, since I let the Jeep cat out of the bag, we're scheduled to do our first show, xjtalk.com show, this Sunday. We've been on vacation for the last several weeks. How's it been for you, Josh?
Well, you know what? It's been a bag of mixed blessings, so to speak. On one hand, I'm sitting here and it's just like, geez, I need to be doing something. And on the other hand, it's like, well, hey, I don't have to do anything. So this is kind of neat, but no, I am very anxious to get back. I've been very active in the off-road community, and well, I've got a lot of stuff to share and a lot of stories to tell. And well, we'll save all that stuff for another podcast.
And I think what we'll be doing is we'll go ahead and use this avenue for our XJ Talk show as well. And especially if the quality's there, we may be able to branch out a little bit in using YouTube and the prowess of Google with all their tentacles everywhere as far as getting more word out about the show. So
No, absolutely. And in fact, folks, if you're listening to this right now, well, chances are you've visited at tonyandjosh.com, and we encourage you guys to keep heading over there if you haven't already for, the latest links to catch this show. And of course, go check out xjtalk.com and search for XJ Talk over on YouTube to see our live shows.
So, look, oh, and by the way, what we're doing tonight, also a little different, unrelated to doing this new technology test. We decided that we were going to have one of those shows. Well, gosh, Josh, I guess we kind of do this after the show anyway, where you and I just talk about things and just chat off the cuff. And I know it's hard to believe that we plan any of this with the way it sounds, but we do normally have show notes, and we have stories that we've found either watching the news, or for myself, more often it's things I see coming up on Twitter or emails that I receive. And quite often that's about politics or gun control, which I guess it would fall into that same politic type thing. So tonight we decided we were going to do just kind of off the cuff and chat about things that come to mind. So there's no telling where this may go, what rabbit trail, what rabbit hole this may go down.
Well, you took the words right out of my mouth. Tony and I have mentioned on, well, probably just about every podcast that, well, we're a little ADD sometimes, and we go off on these tangents, and like you said, these little rabbit trails goes off in the middle of nowhere. We find ourselves frequently in left field talking about God knows what, and, well, that's probably going to be something along those lines in this show. Normally, as Tony mentioned, we do have, I wouldn't call it scripted, but we've got very specific things that we're going to bring up or talk about. We mentioned in the last show that we're going to start to kind of shy away a little bit from the overly political theme that we occasionally have gotten into. Sometimes the shows get very political, and there's nothing wrong with that every now and again, especially if it's about current events and things that Tony and I are both very passionate about. And occasionally those will even come up still. But we're going to try and get into things, odd and weird and funny and various other avenues that, well, should be entertaining to say the least. And, well, this show is probably going to be entertaining, to say the least.
Well, let's hope so. I always enjoy it, and I think I've made this comment before. When I listen to the podcast going back and forth to work, I enjoy listening to it then. It kind of helps that I don't listen to it right away. It's usually a couple of weeks later in my podcast rotation list by the time that I hear the show. And I guess one of the things about doing so many things in life, I kind of forgot what we talk about. So I'm like, oh yeah, that guy has my same opinion. Oh, that's me. Never mind.
It's me. Yeah. No, I'm the same way. I usually don't listen to things right away. I've got 100 things going on, at any given day. And oftentimes I'll be several weeks behind as far as, listening to previous shows or other podcasts that I listen to. I push a desk all day long. So I've got nothing else better to do to entertain my mind other than work, of course. I try and squeeze some of that in every now and again. But, to listen to podcasts and stuff. So, and usually this show and others are in the rotation just to, like you said, for entertainment value as well as to, refresh my memory as far as what we've talked about, make sure that, either we can bring that back up, revisit that topic, or to refresh myself, make sure we don't end up telling the same story twice.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess as time goes on, there's always that potential where we will repeat ourselves on the stories. But there's so many things that change on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's going to be a problem. Now, it's interesting too, because I remember when G.W. Bush was president, and how, as far as politics goes, I don't really remember anything going on. I had this nice, warm, fuzzy feeling that everything was going to be fine, and it wasn't anything that I had to pay attention to. And that's my preference, really. I would really prefer not to mess around with politics at all. It just worries me and makes me not comb my hair before a show. And I was looking here on the video stream and wish I had.
No, I'm with you there. I mean, I would much rather things just be warm and fuzzy and carefree all the time, but it's not the world we live in. And occasionally our government does something stupid enough to where it gets me riled up or pissed off or otherwise upset. And, I gotta rant about it, and especially if it's something that really affects a more broad spectrum, cross section of society, and to where I can really go off on it. And especially if it grinds my gears a bit, I'll go ahead and research the topic a little bit and delve into it some, and it'll end up being a story on the podcast, but we usually end up going off on, like you mentioned earlier, a couple different rabbit trails as we start talking about it and the conversation develops and whatnot. We usually end up, that reminds me of this, or a good analogy is that, and that brings up something else. And pretty soon we're on topic A and we end up talking about topic D. It's just one thing leads to another sort of thing.
So I was thinking about something. This is just kind of came to mind while we were chatting here. I don't know. Do you get out and watch any of the movies the popular movies as they come out?
Tony, I love movies. I've got a decent little home theater here at home, but I can count on one hand how many times in the last 5 years that I've actually gone out to the movie theater. Part of that comes into the whole miser part of the thing. I hate spending money on, and movie tickets are so damn expensive nowadays. I really have to really be hard up for that movie. I mean, I got to be like, oh wow, that's almost a movie I would camp out for, to go out and have a night at the movie, so to speak. So there's hasn't been a whole lot of movies in the last 5 or 6 years that have really sparked my interest. We're like, oh, I have to go see that in the theater. Now that being said, I am in a committed relationship, so there are date nights that have to happen if I'm gonna continue being allowed to sleep in my own bed. So though occasionally we'll end up finding ourselves at the theater, just watching whatever is we can both agree on. I think the last movie I saw in the theater was the new Oz that came out. And that was, I think that was this year, wasn't it? Anyways, it was a little while ago.
Yeah. Well, there was a discussion up on Facebook, and I think it was the XJ Talk Facebook.
I think I know where you're going with
or whatever.
Going with this, yeah.
It was about the new movie Planes.
Oh, no, it's not where I thought you were going.
Yeah,
okay.
No, I didn't think you saw that. I didn't think you did any social media anyway. But anyway, this guy had commented, one of the XJ Talk friends on Facebook had commented that, like, Lord help me, I'm going to go see Planes. And I was thinking, well, Cars and Cars too. I've seen bits of Cars, I believe, and it's okay. I think it's much more kid oriented than some of the other Pixar movies that have come out. Now, I was not a big fan of Toy Story. People go, oh my God. Of course, I didn't like Jaws either. I didn't watch Jaws when it came out. So maybe I'm just one of those folks, but certainly The Incredibles was a very good movie, wildly imaginative and very entertaining, and reminded me a lot of the Johnny Quest cartoon I used to watch many, many years ago. Very
those too.
Yeah, very reminiscent of that. And I think I've mentioned that before in one or the other podcasts. But anyway, getting back to Planes. So I said, I think I made some sort of, quirky comment, as I do, and drive-by smartass stuff. And he said something about, well, I'm not overly thrilled with Dane Cook being in the movie. And I went,
interesting. I didn't know that he was supplying one of the voices.
Yeah, I didn't either. And really, prior to watching the movie, and this is one that we actually went to the theater to see, because we're doing a lot like you and your family, Josh. We don't really go to the theater that much. We used to go a lot back when it was more affordable. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we went to see Dan in real life at the theater. My wife and I know, did. And Dan in real life was very funny, and I was watching it, and I saw this guy that had a pretty big part in it that I had never seen in my life, and I didn't like him. And I was thinking, why is this guy in this movie? Why is he ruining my movie experience? I later found that was Dane Cook.
Oh, I'll be darned.
And then I found out a little more about him. I think he does stand-up comedy. Don't care. Don't want to see him. And I sure as hell don't want to hear him as a voice on a kid's cartoon show, animated cartoon show. But anyway, that's something that happened. And I remembered, I think I actually shared with the guy on Facebook about Dane Cook. He almost ruined Dan in real life for me. So there was no way. Anyway, the real thing I was going to ask about was, so you haven't seen, and I'm not going to pronounce this correctly. Is it Elysium? Yeah, Elysium. That's right. The one that has Matt Damon in it, where it's the same guy that did this movie as the one that did Sector 9.
Yeah, I've seen the previews for that, and honestly, Tony, that was a movie that I did get excited about. Now I haven't made the venture to go check that out at the movie theater. I've got a lot on my plate with a big huge trip coming up here very soon. So my focus has been elsewhere. Nonetheless, that did not escape my my radar. So that is one that, because I'm a huge sci-fi nut to begin with, and that is right in my wheelhouse. When you're talking about people living up in outer space, and it looked like there was some sort of biomechanical suit that some sort of a muscle enhancement sort of thing that he put on, and there's laser blasts and stuff like that. Man, I got excited about that. I was like, that is pretty cool stuff. I want to check that out.
Things that blow up, and fire, and there's guns, and there's got to be a girl in there somewhere, but I don't care as long as it blows up. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Blows up. Explosions.
It blowed up real good. No, but the where I'm going with this is that there is a definite class warfare theme. You may even have caught it in the previews, where all the rich people live in the orbiting space station.
Yep.
And that's where all the medical help and all the rest of that crap is. And here comes Matt Damon. Here I am to save the day. And he's going to make things all nice and equal, from the rich to the poor. It's kind of a modern day, I haven't seen the movie. I'm just guessing a modern day Robin Hood. So I'm not going to go spend my money at the theater, just simply because I don't like that whole. I know that that's the way they do in Hollywood. They make these movies. Even the 2010 Space Odyssey movie was all about how we can get along with Russia. Let's all get together, kumbaya, have a nice hug, and there you go. So
there's always inferences that can be, extracted from, current movies to current events, and stuff. And then this certainly doesn't escape that. It's very prevalent where that's going. When you first started talking about this, the planes and the movies and all that, and ruining a movie experience, I thought you were going to go with something that was that's being talked about quite a bit that I'm kind of on the fence with. And this is a movie that could potentially be ruined by a specific actor, and I'm talking about Ben Affleck playing the new Batman.
What poor guy.
That poor bastard. He's in for one hell of a ride, I gotta say, because this obviously can go one of two directions. I mean, it's really going to depend, speaking of direction, on who the director of this is, and I don't know all the particulars yet. All I pretty much know is sort of what's going on, and there is a huge uproar from a lot of people, and apparently there is a petition going around. I haven't seen it. I certainly haven't signed it. Frankly, I don't really care. As long as the movie's made well enough, I don't care if there's a lot of people trying to get this guy, out of that part or not. I liked the Batman franchise from the comic books. I grew up in an era before video games, really sparked off. I had comic books when I was a kid, and I had friends that were Batman comic book collectors. I've seen every Batman movie. And, I will continue to see the Batman movies as they come out, maybe in the theater, maybe not. In any case, I'm going to, spend money to go check it out. Nonetheless, looking back, there are Batman movies that don't hold up, and there are Batman movies that do. The whole Heath Ledger thing, he played an awesome Joker, and it would have been nice to see his acting career continue. There's been a lot of Batmans, and they all sort of, the actors bring their own je ne sais quoi to each role. And I don't know that Ben Affleck can do it justice. I don't know that he's going to end up ruining the whole thing. All I care about is that the movie is made well enough. Because if the movie is dark, if it like it should be, if it's directed well and the cinematography is stunning and capturing, then I don't think it really matters how well of a Batman Ben Affleck ends up playing. Because I think what's his name? Justin Bale. No, what the heck is his name? Christian Bale. Yeah, he it was almost like he was trying a little too hard, and I would say that he didn't. It wasn't that he didn't do it justice. It just I think that he could have dialed it back a little bit, and it would have been just fine. That being said, I don't know how Ben Affleck is going to end up portraying Batman. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes, whether or not he ends up actually playing this role, and whether or not he can do the franchise any justice.
Well, them flipping through actors playing Batman, this is worse than Doctor Who with the 13 Doctors, because at least in Doctor Who, they came up with a storyline, a plot twist, so that you can at least explain a different actor coming in to the role. But to me, the only Batman is Mr. Mom. I mean, when he says, "I'm Batman," I can just see him saying, "I'm Mr. Mom." So I think you've answered this question, but let me just make sure. Yeah. So you are a Batman franchise fan, because I've never cared for these movies. I watched the Batman television series when it was on the air, when I was just really little, because I remember it said Batman in color and at the bottom of the screen.
I'm with you there. The original Adam West series, I remember when it was in black and white. Sure, I watched it, and the color. I'm a huge fan of those. Every time the auto show comes to Portland and the
Batmobile.
Batmobile is there.
Yeah,
I go because I want to check it out. I think I've got a picture somewhere of me sitting in that. There was one that they, because there's several of them I think that are around. And one of them, they allow people to sit in and you get your picture taken and stuff like that. And I've got my picture taken inside the Batmobile. And so, I'm obviously excited about it. You can tell in my voice. But no, so the original, I mean, that's where it all started, man. It's of course the comic books and when it was on TV. I mean, that's just great. Now, you go back and you can think, okay, well, when was the first real big Batman movie? And that was in the late 80s with Michael Keaton, could he still play Batman to this day? No, I don't think so. Certainly Adam West can't be playing Batman nowadays. So although I gotta say, when I hear Adam West voice like on Family Guy or some of the other animated cartoons on TV, I can't help, if I close my eyes, I can't help but think of Batman.
Oh, he had a great voice, and I bet you it ruined any career that he had hoped to have. Batman ruined it for him. But
typecasted.
Batman 1989 with Michael Keaton. And I tell you what, we actually went to the theater and sat and watched that movie, and the theater was packed. It was absolutely packed. Where you don't even get to have the armrest by yourself. At least one armrest by yourself. So we were really packed in there. And I've seen it since on television, flipping around or something and catching it. And it's I guess it's kind of in the same type of tongue in cheek as the television series was. Not as much. And I guess it's nice that as they moved forward in the franchise in the movies, that they actually went more towards the comic book series, the darkness that you were talking about. Now, I've never been a big comic book fan. It involves reading, and I'm illiterate. So, and there's just so much you can get through from the pictures.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, it's all about the pictures.
But they got words in there, don't they?
Sometimes usually the monosyllabic words that are easy to read and pronounce, like pow, bang, and oomph.
No, did they do that in the comic books?
Yeah. Some of the earlier ones, it was still, one of the frames would be, the big starburst with the pow, and it like the guy's getting with a good uppercut or something like that.
So I guess they at least moved that from the comic book series into the 1965 series that had Adam West and Burton Ward. So
now, nowadays it's all graphic novel. A comic book, I guess, is not PC, so it's graphic novel, and graphic novels are by nature, at least nowadays, very dark. You're not going to have that sort of 1965 and 1989 campiness
Mm-hmm.
that you saw in the TV series and of course the movie respectively. So things are definitely going more towards a darker, more sinister nature. And you think superheroes, you think underoos, you think kids, you think kiddie stuff, comic book. I really like the whole superhero genre of movies. Maybe it just taps into my inner child or whatever. Who knows? But I don't like a very bright, happy, rainbows and puppy dogs sort of superhero movie. I like them to be dark. I like them to be sinister. And as long as Ben Affleck in this new Batman movie can do that, I'm on board. Sure, I'll check it out.
Do you look at him as being sinister at all?
No, not really. I don't necessarily equate Batman with sinister. It's not exactly something that's synonymous with one another. I'm talking more as far as how the movie feels. I want it to be captivating, and I want it to be dark and mysterious, especially a Batman movie. Now this is a man of mystery almost, so to speak, and it can't be super bright and shiny. It's got to be that those are for other kind of movies. Now you look at like the Transformers series and stuff like that. It's a little bit different here.
I can't stand those movies.
Again, it's part of it is the director there, and this is where I'm going with this whole thing is that I don't know who the director is going to be for this latest Batman movie, but if it's Michael Bay, I don't know. I might have to pass, but it's really going to come down to the overall feel of the movie, and that unto itself is solely in the hands of the director.
So, a little question here about what you think about Ben Affleck, specifically his name. How would you feel if your last name was Affleck and there was a duck on television going Affleck, Affleck? I wonder if I can get
you're one letter away.
I wonder if I can get sued for that. Affleck.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see him on an Affleck commercial.
It seems like a given,
right?
At least a cameo where the duck's going Affleck and at an airport, and then and this guy stops and turns around and looks, and it's Ben Affleck. It would be great.
So I don't know if you know this, but Gilbert Godfrey was the duck.
Yes, I definitely know.
So, and there was
I even remember the joke.
Okay. I was going to say, now there was a very specific joke that ended up him not getting that role anymore. So.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm probably going to butcher this. What was it? This had to do with the tsunami, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. And, it was much to do about nothing, honestly, because
it was hilarious, the joke.
Well, it was it was one of the roasts. It was a roast of a famous actor that Gilbert Godfrey came on, and this was just weeks after 9/11, and he told a very, very way too soon and way over the line joke on the air during this live broadcast of this roast of, I forgot who it was. And that's what roasts are all about. It's about crossing lines and going boundaries.
Go way over the line.
If
you're in South Korea, you're at the north part of North Korea, and joke. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And he let that joke fly, and that, people are talking about it today. I can't remember exactly how well received it was at the time, but it didn't end his career, and the joke that he told, during this whole Affleck contract or whatever. In my mind, shouldn't have ended his stint as a duck or a goose or whatever.
Good God, I can do that. I can do the duck voice. Anybody could do that. But anyway, yeah. If you guys don't remember, I'm not going to say the joke. You can look it up. But it was basically a joke that Gottfried made after the tsunami, an earthquake disaster in Japan. I was thinking it was the tsunami prior to that, but now that I've read this on Wikipedia, so it has to be true. that it was the Japanese one. I had almost forgotten about that. There's still videos floating around. I saw an animated GIF the other day where it was a security cam, and this car is driving up, and then it comes to a dead stop, and it quickly makes a 3-point U-turn and takes off, and just about that time, here comes the wave coming in, and you go, you know what I'm talking about. It's like, and all this debris. It's kind of like, wow. I hope that person made it. That was just amazing. And it's not like, it's not like what you see in the movies where there's this big arcing crashing wave. It's just water coming up where it's not normally at. And people freaking out about, well, what do you do? Well, you don't drown, and you don't get cut up by debris, or debris, as I like to say.
Debris.
My kids, I'll say stuff like that. And, they know how to spell debris.
Well, I say skizzers and knife and stuff like that. It's a play on words. And sometimes, you throw the wrong emphasis on the syllable, and you have fun with words.
Yeah, fun with words. You wouldn't think that a couple of illiterates would have fun with words, but there you go.
That's all part of the joke. All part of the joke. Well, yeah. I mean, speaking of jokes, I mean, yeah, it's it just comes down to doing something that's gonna end your career, or end a role that you have, or something like that. Now, I do some freelance and some part-time voiceover stuff, and I wouldn't say I've ever crossed the line on any of our podcasts, but I wouldn't say that I'm also really worried about what I'm saying, and whether or not, one of the people who I do a recording for a commercial for, or something like that, some sort of product, are going to hear it and say, oh, well, that doesn't fall in line with our views, or something like that. So, we're not going to call him again, so that's, I'm not really worried about it. Granted, I'm not telling Gilbert Godfrey level jokes either on the air.
That wouldn't be that hard to do. I mean, Gilbert Godfrey is, he made an excellent parrot in an animated Disney series. Well, he was a little irritating from the little bits and pieces that I saw of that movie. Just want to jump in real quick, kind of go back to the Batman comments, or the Batman stuff we were talking about. We do have a comment, which I just happened to notice this. We have a comment on our YouTube live events stream.
You almost said Ustream, didn't you?
Me stream, Ustream. Me, sir, yes, sir. Anyway, this is from Chester. He says George Clooney should have came back for Batman.
Yeah, I think that he's still well enough in his prime, and spending some time in the gym, he probably could have pulled it off. He's got the chiseled look, so to speak, and of course the bat suit can pretty much hide any kind of weight gain, I would imagine.
Well, he's never been heavy, but I guess that reminds me of this other thing. I like the idea of a middle-aged superhero.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know that goes very well for the dynamic or the audience that the people are trying to sell to. But whenever Iron Man, I'm forgetting his name. Whenever the actor came out and played Iron Man, he was really too old for the part.
Robert Downey Jr.
Thank you. And what a character. That guy is just, a Tony
Stark character. He plays Tony Stark perfectly.
Beautiful.
The personality is right up his alley.
And you talk about dark and real and a character, and this guy is dark and real and a character in his own life. And him being in this role, he's not like Mickey Mouse or Mighty Mouse, not Mickey Mouse. Mighty Mouse, I'm here to save the day. He's like, hey, babe, I don't fly too straight in the suit when I'm drunk. He's a person, and that's a wonderful, and he's a funny person. And
you look at it this way, a Batman franchise type of movie is going to go after one very specific demographic, and that's the 18 to 35-year-olds.
Yeah.
And if your Batman is 50, then it's going to be a little bit harder for the younger side of that demographic to relate well enough. Now, that's where cinematography comes in, and good direction, and a stunning look of a movie, and really good selection of previews. Now you can sort of get away with, choosing your segments properly as far as what you air before the movie is released, in teasers and previews and stuff like that. So, it doesn't really matter. And, a little bit of Grecian formula or just for men on the beard or lack thereof can cover up any gray of a guy who's, maybe past his prime, but can still pull off a good Batman character. But, the question would arise is, okay, well, this is going to be an action movie. It would have to be if you're going to be doing a Batman flick. So, and generally action movies are a little bit of a higher caliber, a little better in appearance and the way that the movie flows if the actor is doing his own stunts, or at least the majority of them.
Right.
And a guy like George Clooney, regardless of how good of shape that he's in, most likely is, and I don't know, I can't speak to him, personally. I don't know how apt he would be to be doing his own stunts, but I would have to venture to guess that he is the type of guy that is certainly not going to put himself in too much of harm's way, to do his own stunts for the sake of the film. And I would imagine there would have to be a fair amount of stunt doubling going on and something like that. And that's going to show up in the movie. And otherwise, you're looking at what, CGI? And we see where that leads you to as far as how a movie ends up turning out.
Well, there was a lot of complaints about the CGI in The Matrix, and or I guess it was really more the sequels than the original one.
Yeah,
I'm pretty. I see things like that really well, and I didn't have a problem with the CGI in the Matrix movies. I thought it was fine. I mean, it was. You had to buy into it.
Of course.
That there was so many of these copies, and you knew it was CGI. Maybe that's what it was. I didn't see that the CGI was poorly done, though.
No, I'm with you there. This is sci-fi. I'm a huge Matrix fan as well.
Yeah.
The Coen brothers, in my mind, can really do no evil. That franchise is another one that, as long as they didn't really jump the shark, I could care less sort of what they were trying to, portray or accomplish there. And they did, honestly, in my mind, all, even the animated series that came out for the Matrix really was done quite well, and all the anime and all the CGI in that. Now, when CGI goes too far is when we end up with some of the Star Wars stuff, and you end up with your, Jar Jar Binks. That in my mind is taking CGI too far and doing a horrible job at it.
Oh, this is a perfect segue. Are you excited about Disney buying Star Wars and potentially years more of Star Wars films?
Okay, so this is another topic that I'm really on the fence about, because again, I've said it 100 times so far. I'm a huge sci-fi nut, and both Star Trek, Star Wars. Absolutely, and
the same guy's going to be doing both Star Wars and Star Trek, right? Same director.
Really? Now that I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, I think it's the same guy, and I need to look it up. But I think I forget the director's name. He's Abrams, J.J. Abrams.
J.J. Abrams.
And
yeah,
I think that is the reason why, or maybe one of the reasons why, that in the original reboot, Star Trek reboot, that you see R2-D2 flying across the screen whenever there's an explosion or something. I bet you it was him throwing something in there because he was probably in talks at the time with Disney or some high level, this may be happening type things.
No, I just saw it online. J.J. Abrams directing Star Wars Episode 7.
There you go. So he's going to, and see, that ought to make you feel better about this, because this is a good director.
It does to some regard, but Disney is a massive conglomerate. And I would imagine that, one, they're going to have their fingers on the purse strings. So they're going to be sort of controlling the puppet strings of J.J. Abrams. And I would imagine that he's going to have a short leash.
Yeah, do you think anybody is going to control this guy? He's got too many things going on, too many successes. That would be like somebody trying to control Spielberg whenever he was doing movies, when he was directing movies, which he should never have stopped.
Yeah, granted. Yes and no. I think that what's going to happen is that there is going to be a spectacular movie made, and a lot of it is going to end up on the cutting room floor. Now, I mean, I know that that's sort of cliche. The films aren't recorded on movies aren't recorded on film anymore. Really, it's all digital nowadays. But nonetheless, I think that it's going to come down to a Disney editing team that is going to butcher the living S out of this new film.
It all depends on what they said whenever they were doing this thing. As far as Abrams may have said, "Yeah, sure, I'll do your film. This is what it's going to cost you, and this is the level of control that I want." And I guarantee you, it's going to be in writing. I think that you're going to be surprised, and I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised.
Well, I would hope so. I would also like to think that because of his track record, that a guy and a director, of the caliber of J.J. Abrams, would walk into this sort of thing with a contract in hand, saying, "Okay, I will agree to do this under these terms and these terms only," because it's his reputation that's at stake. Regardless of how big the Disney undersigning and all that comes with that, it is to a franchise like this, and with a director's name stamp like him on this, there's a lot of potential there. But again, Disney has their own reputation to look out for, and J.J. Abrams, I could see being a conflict there with sort of Disney's master plan.
I don't know. Disney, you could always count on being a G movie. And then as we moved out of the 70s into the 80s, I believe it was around that time frame, they had to change the way they were doing things. Actually, if I remember correctly, they went with another label so that they could actually do non-G movies. Can't remember what it's called right now. Columbia or something. I can't remember. But anyway,
yeah.
But they would come out with the non-G movies. So I think that Disney has changed with the times, and I don't see that. They're a big organization that try to make a bundle of money, and certainly going with Pixar was a good idea. I just don't know what's happened with Pixar in their recent movies, because I haven't seen. Up certainly was imaginative and it was good, but it was a little dark at times.
Yes, and well, there was a good balance there. I liked Up. I really did. It was a touching story.
Yeah.
It was very entertaining, and it was really touching. There was several points in the movie that hit me on a personal level on several different levels. And visually, it was done quite well. That was a very visually appealing movie, writing aside.
When Pixar does something, it's going to be visually appealing, period.
Absolutely. So, I don't go out and buy a lot of DVDs. Hell, I've got, a dozen red boxes within a stone's throw of me. So, again, here just playing into my whole cheapness side of things. I can go out and rent a movie for $1 after it comes out. That's way more up my alley than spending $20 at the movie theater for a ticket. So that being said, I wouldn't mind having a Pixar collection just because their movies are so visually stunning. And any given amount of time passes, you can go back and check that. And now they did the Toy Story franchise as well, didn't they?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now, I didn't really get on board a whole lot with the Toy Story series. It was like, okay, it's a great idea, but it's, I don't know, maybe it's just because it's now a lot of their movies do play into both, the children, the very young audience, as well as they throw in a little something for the adults as well. That one to me seemed like it was lacking a lot of the adult, the adultness that needed to be in that movie. Now I'm not looking for a rated R Pixar film, and I don't expect there to be this Episode 7 Star Wars to be this dark and sinister, rated R-ish type of movie. It's not going to be an NC-17. I expect it to be a very, very PG-13 movie. I don't want to see G, and I certainly don't want to see PG. It had better be approaching that NC-17 mark, and they may have to bleep a couple of words or edit a scene or something like that to drop that down to the PG-13 level. That's the kind of Star Wars film that I want to see.
I'm sorry, Jedis don't swear.
No, I know. But I don't want this to be another Jar Jar Binks film. You know what I'm saying? I really don't want to see a completely CGI'd film. If this whole thing is done in front of green screen, I'm gonna burn the theater down. It's just I don't want to see that.
Wow, you heard it right. You heard it here. A terroristic threat on the Tony and Josh show, made by Josh, not Tony. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I would really like to see, and they could have done this right away. But I would like to see a series, or at least one, but a series, I think, of buddy movies, Star Wars buddy movies, where it was Obi-Wan Kenobi, played by, was it Ewan McGregor? Thought he did a very good job. And even that kid that can't act that Lucas found to play Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah.
I would have still paid and gone to see the movie, even with him in it, because they did have a good rapport on screen. And I would have loved to see, they could have had 4 movies at least of them and their antics going off on missions around the galaxy. And it would be prior to this, this big battle between them, and the nastiness and the ugliness, and Anakin's name being turned from Anakin into Matt, no arms, no legs. So, or Patty. So anyway,
bit of a groaner there, buddy.
I have the high ground. Don't do it. Oh, that stung. Anyway, but a buddy movie would have been great. They had a really good rapport, and it was funny watching them play off of each other about saved your life over here. Oh yeah, but I saved your life many more times than your master.
Yeah. No, I see where you're going. I mean, there's definitely, on-screen chemistry that could, under the right direction, be played, carried on to some offshoots. There would be a point where that could go too far. I don't know about 3 or 4. I could see maybe 1 or 2, or potentially a made-for-TV miniseries sort of thing. Under the right direction again. But I don't think there's any release yet of sort of cast announcements, plot, storyline, etc. I heard a couple little rumblings a couple months ago when I think the first little bits of rumors started leaking out that there might be an episode 7 coming out. That it was going to happen this year at least, or it was going to be here in the next year or two. Anyways,
I was going to mention this earlier when we were talking about Batman casting. I have heard or read rumors that Ben Affleck is going to be in the new Star Wars movie.
Oh, geez, he's got his thumb in everything, doesn't he?
I'm just messing with you.
No, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, he's directing films now. He's starred in a bunch of flicks. So it's.
I said the other day, I think on Twitter, he married Jennifer Gardner, so he's got to be some kind of good actor.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, I was monkeying around looking on Internet Movie Database the other day, and I did not know that Jennifer Gardner was born in Houston. She's a fellow Houstonian.
Yeah, a Texas native there. So you got a little claim to some celebrity there.
So like me and 4 million other people could say, "Hey, Jennifer, I'm from Houston." Yeah. She's like, "Oh, security.
Stay away from me.
Security."
Yeah.
Yeah, but I knew she was a Texas native. I just didn't know she was born in Houston. But anyway, now speaking of Ben Affleck, I saw the fairly large portion of Dogma the other day. It was on. I flipped over to it, and boy, talk about blasphemous and wrong and all kinds of things. But I thought that those actors that are all going to hell because of this movie, I thought they did a really good job of not trashing Christianity, but kind of making it modern and making it, kind of touching in a twisted way, certainly with all the very robust sexual references that Jay was making. Those guys are hilarious, Jay and Silent Bob. And of course, Silent Bob wasn't completely silent in this movie.
No.
But my point is, Ben Affleck did a pretty good job acting in that movie.
Yeah. And that was early on in both Matt Damon and Ben Affleck's career.
Yeah.
For the most part.
They had made their splash with that original movie.
Mm-hmm. But I liked Dogma. I could have done without what's her face playing God. Alanis
Morissette.
Alanis Morissette. I'm not a huge Alanis Morissette fan.
She's interesting.
Okay,
she's got some good songs
for it. Sure. It's just I don't know. I guess that was a little out of left field for me for the movie, but I guess the whole movie itself was pretty much out of left field.
I was just going to say that's a left field movie. I like her one line that she had in there at the very end where she takes her God finger and touches the nose of the last Jesus I want to say athlete.
Yeah.
Relative, I guess, and says boop while she touches her on the nose.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just
she couldn't talk. They would have to pay her more if she had lines.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably it. No, your voice is grating enough. You just go ahead and.
I like her. I think she's funny. I mean, I'm sure she's got her own series of problems, and she's Canadian, and nobody wants that hanging over your head. But I really liked her songs. I wasn't all that thrilled when I found out who she was upset with, which it was not Joey. Who was the guy that was on Full House? The one that would always say, "Cut it out." I mean, talk about corny jokes.
Oh well, yeah. Well, he was portraying a comedian. And so,
what, Gilbert Gottfried?
No,
no. Actually, Gilbert has some decent jokes.
Certainly not. I mean, yeah, that was. Well, again, geez, what the heck is his name? One of the main characters. He did the America's Funniest Videos for a little while.
You're talking about Saget. Man, I cannot stand that guy.
Thank you. I was just going to say, I'm not a huge Bob Saget fan either. And he's popped up in a couple of movies playing some really odd roles over the years. And I think mainly to try and bust out of that typecasting of that, aw shucks kind of guy who told horribly bad jokes front of I know that was so much just bad writers behind him.
Oh no, that was Bob Saget. That's his comedy. I mean, I think he likes it, and I understand it in a way because I like making bad jokes as well, and I just giggle. I just think it's hilarious because they're just really bad. There's bad jokes, there's corny jokes, and then there's really that is just, it couldn't be more horrible. And he fell into that category. Anyway, it was the character's name was Joey, and his name is Dave Collier.
That's right.
And that's the guy that Atlantis was having the relationship with, and they split, and that's what all the songs came out of, allegedly.
Is that right?
It was that guy. So she's like the girl next door. I'm not going to say she's some model beauty or anything like that, but she's kind of like the girl next door. She certainly has a wonderful singing style voice. I really enjoyed those songs. But I would have felt better if she was with somebody that was better than Joey from Full House.
Yeah, no, I'm
not a James Stamos type of girl. But certainly not a Bob Saget kind of girl either. Oh my God, Bob Saget. Oh God, that guy just, I enjoyed America's Funniest Home Videos, even though I wasn't a faithful watcher, but I would not watch it with that guy on there.
No. I mean, you'd almost just mute the screen anytime he'd pop up. I like the content of the show. Just, geez, they could do without the host.
Why the hell are you giving away money? Do you think that people are watching this show so they can see who's getting $100,000, who's getting $10,000? Just play another damn video.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is like, we got to put this in because otherwise we would just have a video after video after video, and we'd call it YouTube.
Yeah, that's pretty much what you got. I can't believe. Well, and they still have the franchise on. I mean, I've flicking through channels before dinner time or something like that, and they still have the the AFV up on it. It's still to some who they have hosting it nowadays. It's
I like that guy. Tom, is it Tom Bergerac or Bergerac?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, and he was a game show host, wasn't he?
If not, he should be.
If not, exactly. Yeah. If not, he definitely should be. But I mean, it's still, I mean, geez, that's got to be a 20, 30-year-old, series by now.
So I'm trying to remember the Latin girl that was on that show. Tom Bergeron. I'm looking up on Internet Movie Database.
Mm-hmm.
The show's still going on, right?
The America's Funniest Videos. That's what I'm saying.
But I mean, it's still on the air.
Yeah.
New episodes. Okay.
That's what I'm saying. It's still not just in syndication. They are still broadcasting new stuff. I mean, and with we're on YouTube right now. With the inception of YouTube and how big it's gotten and how just anybody can post up anything at any time and look up anything at any time on the internet. And in an age of where we have more cameras on the planet than there ever has been before, how that sort of venue could still be that avenue for dispersal of funny videos could still be on TV with something like YouTube on the internet.
Well, I just don't get that internet thing you kids do. You type in some stuff, and then there's some videos, and I never can get sound out of it. I can see the pictures, but the sound, no, I don't get the sound. So there you go. TVs are simple. It's the same thing about podcasts. People don't get podcasts because it's not turning on, hitting the remote, turning the channel. It's not something simple that they do every day. So, it's the same old thing. You got to keep it simple. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, gotta love the kiss, I guess.
Well, I'm sorry to say, Josh, but that's been an hour or right at it anyway.
I was actually, Tony and I have a little bit of a chat here, sort of off air and on screen in between us. And I was actually just typing in, well, we've got to be approaching about an hour by now, haven't we? God, that time flies by pretty fast.
I don't think you're having as much fun with these things as you used to, Josh, because you're starting to watch the clock. I'm getting nervous.
Well, I know we had talked. Well, we're testing out some new technology here, and I know we've only got about an hour on the broadcast.
I reset it for 2 hours.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, I was just kind of getting nervous that our live viewers were going to get cut off, and I want to make sure that we can give them a whole show.
Well, I mentioned again, I don't know exactly how, and maybe Chester is somebody that normally is on Ustream just under a different name. But we had somebody just out of left field come in here and make a comment that I don't recognize the name. So, the YouTube, the Google tentacle thing may have been working its magic tonight. And maybe with a few more watchers, we can actually have live phone calls again. That was always fun.
Yeah, no, I did like that very much. And folks, don't fret. We will try and bring that back here soon. And, of course, this is where you guys come in. Please spread the word about Tony and Josh Show. Head over to TonyandJosh.com. We're always putting up new stuff over there. We do have a 24/7 voicemail line we'd like for you guys to give us a call at. That number is 206-600-6882. Again, that's 24/7. You guys can leave a message. Tell us about what you think about the show, or you can chime in about a topic that we've talked about in a previous episode.
And I will mention, we did have some voicemails, at least one voicemail from Nikki G that we can always count on. And my apologies to Nikki G, but we will get your voicemail on the next show.
Absolutely. And speaking of next show, that's going to be episode 19. Man, we're already approaching the 20s.
Yeah. And I was thinking the other day, when we started this, we were already seasoned professionals. And of course, that's tongue in cheek, which I've never understood tongue in cheek. That must be a British thing, because to me, it just sounds nasty. But anyway, we were seasoned professionals when we started this. So this show sounds a lot better than episode 1 of the XJ Talk Show.
Oh, yeah. And it's just going to keep getting better all the time, folks. Stay tuned.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens with the video on YouTube and how many views it gets and so on and so forth. I think that show was a lot smoother than the other shows that we do.
Yeah, there's definitely a different feel to it. We're not reading something off the screen.
I think that's where we have a problem in the reading part. And I think for me personally, I think it's because I don't take the time to read it first. I need to read it a couple of times.
That's where my sort of game plan differs a little bit. Not only do I read it, but I also retype it. I do a lot of cut and paste, don't get me wrong, but I move sentences around so that the content flows a little bit better because I might be pulling from 2 or 3 different sources.
Oh yeah.
I will type in my own content as well to make it sound more natural, more like I'm just saying it. Now, that being said, there's still a lot of it where I'll stumble up on a word because I can't read very well. I'm half dyslexic as it is. So, I'll transpose letters or words and stuff like that, and I'll end up screwing it up as I'm reading it. Now, that doesn't necessarily happen in free form like this. So, we might be onto something, Tony. As far as the shooting from the hip, there were 2 instances during the show that I thought, crap, I don't have anything to interject right at this exact moment, and I found myself sort of searching really quick that moment of desperation for a change in topic or something to interject or something like that. So there was a couple of nervous moments like, crap, I don't want there to be dead air, so I got to throw something in here real quick. And I think there was one time where you actually chimed in with something. So it was sort of saved by the bell.
Yeah, it's pretty bad when you have when you're the only person doing it. To me, it's really easy as long as you got somebody to play off of. And of course, you're really good about when I stop talking, you're there to fill it in. So I know that I can just kind of stop abruptly. I think I could get one syllable out of Mississippi, and you'd be right there to start filling in. So it works out really well.
Well, I hope so. This was certainly a nice little exercise. I don't know that we should do it every single episode.
Oh no, I don't think so.
Maybe part of every episode, or I don't know. Maybe we need to relax on the structure a little bit.
Maybe ever so often is this like, hey, let's especially during slow news, which we're not at right now. But certainly during slow news times, we could say, hey, let's just do an STS.
Yeah, no, I like it, and obviously, hell, we were able to do it. That was a pretty smooth flowing show. So,
yeah, I don't know the movies. I guess everybody can be interested in movies and what your take is on it. It was just I just kind of went that direction because of what happened the other day on Facebook. I wanted to get in a knock. My wife was giving me a hard time the other day about, why are you that way about you don't like somebody and you won't go see their movies? Well, I don't like them. I don't want to see them. I don't want to hear their voice. I'm not going to see their movies. I said, Tom Cruise was has been I don't like Tom Cruise. He was good in the first movie, Risky Business, that he did, but after that, didn't care for him. I certainly don't like this Scientology crap, and I don't think the guy takes himself serious. I'm sorry. I think the guy takes himself too seriously, and that always pisses me off.
Did you like Cocktails?
I like the girl that was in it.
Who didn't? No, where he was the bartender and stuff. With Risky Business, it was kind of along the same lines. It was a good character for him. He did well in that film. Now, I am a huge fan of the Mission Impossible series as well. I liked the old TV show.
Yeah, and that pissed me off whenever they screwed Phelps.
I know. God damn it. I really liked that series, and still to this day, to me, I mean, obviously technology has way surpassed a lot of what's in those old episodes, but you know, I carrying that on into the silver screen and with the new technology and all the fancy stuff, it's eye candy. So the Tom Cruise character and actor and everything that he brings to the film, I can kind of sort of push aside a little bit and look past, because there's all this other stuff going on, the gadgets and the gadgets and the technology and the eye candy and the action and the suspense and everything else going on. You know, that to me is the Mission Impossible thing. It's yeah, Tom Cruise certainly doesn't do the character much justice, but the franchise as a whole, I think, is pretty good.
You know, I saw Minority Report, and I could kind of just see around Cruise, and I kept making a joke on Twitter that never got any traction about how Tom Cruise was going to play the Hobbit because he was the right size and he had the hairy feet. I thought it was comedy gold myself. But,
that's pretty good. That's
but
pretty
I
good.
couldn't get anybody to bite on it. You know, the bad thing about Twitter is that you can have a huge audience and they may be laughing their asses off. You have no idea unless they type something in, and they may be fearful to say anything simply because you're a big old dork and they don't want to be associated with you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you're missing out on the Twitter. I was going to bring it up in the show and I didn't. I saw one of the funniest things I've ever seen on Twitter, and it was between James T. Kirk, aka William Shatner, which he's big on Twitter, by the way. He's very active on Twitter, and he's hilarious. But him and Tom Bergeron from
really?
AFV.
Oh shit! We even brought him up. How could you not segue into
Well, I thought about it, but you know, with all the things we're talking about. But anyway, it was also too kind of hard to explain since I didn't see the prior tweet or tweets. But basically, apparently Shatner had said something to Tom about bad jokes or overacting. I think it was like overacting, and Tom says, "Oh, you want to go there?" And he went and found a picture of Shatner on Star Trek, the original series, you know, with his mouth open and just screaming, ah. It was hilarious. Here's these two
right there.
Yeah, here's these two television icons battling it out on Twitter.
Oh, that's Clash of the Titans right there, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was hilarious. And apparently Shatner's got let's say a hard on for Adam Baldwin. Adam Baldwin, I think I've told you before, at least on Twitter, he's very pro-conservative, perhaps Republican.
Yeah.
And he goes after people. He goes after people big time. And I don't think Shatner, who is a Canadian, by the way, isn't necessarily conservative. And they spar back and forth. And Shatner's pretty tame about it and doesn't really go overboard. He's got a good humor to it. But so it's a lot of fun to watch. And of course, I'll not sniper bid, but I'll sniper comment in between those guys from time to time. And I've communicated with Adam before. I've never gotten anything from Shatner indicating that he's read any of my stuff. So
it's not Adam. It's Daniel. Who's like this hardcore born again Christian guy, isn't he? Isn't that? It's one of the three brothers that's kind of gone over the deep end a little bit with stuff.
Well, you know, there's nothing wrong with being a heavy duty Christian. But yeah, he was the one that was in the movie with Pauly Shore. But you know, there's a difference between Adam Baldwin and the Baldwin brothers. They're not related.
No.
Yeah, Adam Baldwin. No, Adam Baldwin is he is not related to the Baldwin brothers.
Yeah, you're right. No, I'm thinking of Alec Baldwin there for a second. No, I'm sorry. Yeah. No, Adam Baldwin was
he was in My Bodyguard. He was on
since Serenity too.
Yes. I was just going to say he was Jane on Serenity.
Yeah, another series that really should have taken off, man.
I can't believe it has had such a following for one
Oh
season.
yeah, I know.
And I didn't, I'll just tell you up front, I didn't care for it. I mean,
Really?
I've told you before, I do not like the idea of a Western in outer space. I mean, the only thing they were missing were cowboy hats.
Okay. Yes and no. There was a movie back in the 90s called Space Pirates or Ice Pirates, or
Yeah, I think I remember what you're talking about. I didn't like it either.
it was very much a Western in space. And it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. Now,
It was cheap. It was cheap because they, they already had all the costumes laying around, all the Westerns from the 60s.
so now the Serenity series, Firefly, it had enough sci-fi and storyline in it to carry it past it was just a sprinkling of Western to it.
Yeah, but it was enough where I didn't like it.
So yeah, still the director of that, the writer, the creator, is still active, and he's got some projects coming up. I actually heard an interview with Adam Baldwin here just a month or two ago, in fact, and he was talking. The question came up. It says, "Well, can we expect a retry, a sequel, something?" Because the fans have been demanding it, hailing for it for so long. They're ready for more, and it was like, well, chances are no, it's not going to happen, because I guess
all these people have gone different directions. All the actors.
It's not so much that, it's one of those things to where if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You're really at such a high point with that series. It's held in such high regard by its fans and everything.
Oh yeah, I guess I can see that.
If you try and top that, and you don't, and you fail, you're going to take the whole house of cards down with you.
It's like the Star Trek animated series.
Is sort of going out on a high note, so to speak. Now that being said, I guess there's a couple of projects that might be a sort of a spin-off or in the same universe as, or in the same feel of, but not related to necessarily, by the same creator, same director. So it's he's working on some stuff, and I guess that there's something big, and it's set up for either late next year or in 2015 that he's going to release, and it's supposed to be huge. I don't know. This is all according to Adam Baldwin, so I don't know, and I haven't looked into it at all, so I don't know.
I remember one tweet I made. I didn't get any response back from Adam, but I made a tweet about he's going on and on about all these conservative things and battling with people, and he goes in my opinion, he gets a little disrespectful. I don't like to be that disrespectful to folks, even when they're idiots. I don't like to be disrespectful for folks, and especially if they're being disrespectful to me. I don't want to be disrespectful back. But at any rate, he was going a bit overboard one day, in my opinion. And I made the comment about, I know you're sitting there wearing that hat, and I posted the picture of the little knit hat that he would wear on the Serenity series, the multicolored hat. That was funny. There's some story behind that. I think I read, and I've since forgotten, but some interesting story about how that came to be.
I'm trying to find a Google image of that hat, because
Jane Serenity probably would probably did it. I'm for anything that brings Gina Torres back in front of the camera. I've always from I think it was Cleopatra 2932 or whatever, this horrible TV series that was on back in the 80s or 90s was on. I would just watch it because Gina Torres was on it, and I don't know if you know who I'm talking about. She was, I guess, like the first officer on Serenity, although.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
And she was also. She was also in some of the Matrix movies. And interestingly enough, she is dating or associated with romantically with Morpheus.
Really?
Yep, that's I don't know if they're still together, but that was
good for him.
Yeah, I don't know. She doesn't look Latin to me. That whatever.
No, she most certainly doesn't look Latin. But yeah, whatever.
That's a joke because of the Torres name.
Oh, see, well, it's getting late for me, man. I'm fading fast here, so.
Yeah, I was just trying to find out what her. I can't remember. Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne. He played an excellent Morpheus.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, and I'll tell you real quick. I think you had been curious about the quadcopter deal that I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I had some video the other day after I got the battery charger in and some flights.
I saw your post that you kind of got some other stuff going on and you didn't have time to really chew much of that video down. How's things working out?
Well, I haven't messed with it since flying it that day. I lost several nuts off of the airframe because it was vibrating. So I really have to make time to sit down and put some blue Loctite on everything and tighten everything up. But anyway, what I was going to tell you is that video, I did put up a video with the additional footage on the end of the flight after the battery recharge. So that's up on the site, actually up on YouTube, up on the XJ Talk that you can see. I think it was around 3 minutes, 20 seconds is where the new video is. I just added it onto the original video. So I'm kind of doing one from just after completing the build all the way through the flight testing. So it's going to continue to get longer and longer, which is always exciting to say.
What's the title of that?
Quadcopter.
Oh, okay.
There's probably two.
Yeah, there are. Yeah, there's one that's 3 minutes and one that's 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, the 5 minute one. I need to hide the other one, the shorter one.
Mm.
But anyway, you're rubbing your eyes and looking sleepy. So a little bonus here. I don't know how long we went over as far as not necessarily on the podcast, but just on the chat here. But a little bonus for the folks watching on Ustream. I'm sorry, on YouTube.
No big deal. Let's see here. I got that movie fired up here, and it's just all in your backyard or whatever it looks like.
Yeah, it's the same as before.
Oh, okay. No, I was hoping you had some footage with a camera on board.
No, I've got to update the flight computer because it's not very stable.
Oh yeah, it's shaking all over the place.
Yeah, it got into the oscillation. It didn't do that every time, but it got into the oscillation. And that was the computer trying to sense balance and trying to correct, and it does a lot of stuff itself. It's definitely a fly by wire.
Bouncy.
Yes.
Coming in hot. Holy shit.
It's very responsive. If you look at the video, it's coming towards me. You can't see me because I'm not in frame, but that thing's actually coming towards me, and I pegged that thing going the other way, and it goes, and stopped. It is pretty resilient though, as you can see.
Yeah. I was just gonna ask you if you broke anything, because it looks like
absolutely not. No.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep. The second battery came in, and I got some of those plastic parts, the little things that are orange on that you see on there. I have a whole nother set of that because I'd read that those will break from time to time, and at least 4 of them hold the arms on. And I thought that would be a good thing to have just in case, because otherwise you're looking at about 2 or 3 weeks for them to come in from China.
Oof. Yeah, it's a long time to wait.
All right, man. We'll go get some rest, and I'm sure I'll be chatting with you online. But see you Sunday night, 10 p.m. Central Time.
Yeah. No, it should be a very interesting show. We got a lot to talk about, so it's I'm looking forward to it, man.
All right. Have a good night. Get you some rest.
All right, buddy. You too.
All right, guys. Well, that's our Ustream. I'm saying it again. It is our YouTube. It is our YouTube live event test and hopefully you've enjoyed the show. Not quite sure how much of this I will leave in. I may come back and edit this so that the the front bit before the show started and perhaps even the bit after the podcast ended may not be here. But for right now, I'm going to leave it on, especially since it's fairly late. It's 11:38 here in the Central Time Zone, in the bright lights of Houston, Texas, or at least in the shadows of the bright lights of Houston, Texas, here in Katy. You guys have a very good night, and of course, if you're watching this after the show, hell, have a good morning. What was it that Jim Carrey said? Have a good morning, good afternoon, and a good evening.